Hi everyone, welcome back to week 2 of distance learning. I hope you all enjoyed your nice long weekend after Good Friday, last Friday, and getting a break from work. We this week are going to be covering the end of the 1970s and then the very beginning of the 1980s. So we're going to jump right in today, focusing on a little bit in the middle and later middle 1970s. So I'm going to share my screen. And open up our PowerPoint, minimize myself, and start presenting. All right, so if you're ready, I am ready. So we are going to start our conversation about the mid-1970s with the Yom Kippur War. This is another war in the Middle East, specifically focused on Israel. It started on October 6th, 1973, and it lasted until October 25th, 1973. So just about 19 days long. Why did this war occur? Well, Anwar Sadat, who was the leader in Egypt, proposed a peace offer to Israel. So remember, Israel and Egypt had fought against each other in the Six-Day War. And so now we are 6 years later, and Anwar Sadat is proposing a peace offer. Well, Israel refused. They rejected that peace offer, and Egypt saw that as grounds to attack. So Egypt and Syria chose Yom Kippur, which is a very important Jewish holiday. It is, in fact, the most important of the Jewish holidays. It is a day of atonement. It is a day when the Jewish people ask for forgiveness for their sins. And it is a day when Jewish people spend their time at synagogue in prayer. So Egypt and Syria, knowing that most Jews would be, most of Israel's population being Jews, most of them would be in synagogue when they attacked. So they launched a surprise attack on Yom Kippur. Israel did win this war, but over time they became more dependent on the United States for aid, military aid, economic aid, aid in diplomacy. They just began to rely on the United States a lot more because of this war. Then on August 9th, 1974, Richard Nixon became the first American president to resign from office. You can search on YouTube for the Nixon resignation speech and take a look at it. We are going to move on to the next slide. Then, in 1974, Ethiopia's longest, which is the longest independent nation in Africa, their emperor at the time was removed from power. So Haile Selassie was instrumental in the creation of the Organization for African Unity. He spent a lot of time focused on African unification, promoting African unity within Ethiopia, and he named Addis Ababa, which is the capital of Ethiopia, as the capital of the unified Africa. Selassie ruled from 1930 until 1974. He is considered to be the world's last emperor to hold true political power. So not just emperor in name, but to hold real power. There was a major famine in 1973 that led to his removal and to his being placed in jail. He was strangled to death later on in 1975 by military officers. We also see atrocities occurring in Asia during this time. As the Vietnam War came to an end, we see a major genocide, the 6th biggest genocide in history, began to occur. A man named Pol Pot, and he's the man in the center of your screen there, he became the communist dictator of Cambodia. And it is under his rule and his direction that the Cambodian Genocide begins. His communist group, known as the Khmer Rouge, the communist movement in Cambodia, it controlled the government of Cambodia from 1975 to 1979. During that time, about 1.5 million Cambodians were killed. That is out of a population of about 7 to 8 million people. So we're looking at about 10 to 33% of the Cambodian population were murdered. They were killed through starvation, through execution, through disease, or being overworked. Your assignment following this video is going to focus on the Cambodian genocide. And finally, Saigon fell to the North Vietnamese, and this, at this point, ended almost 20 years of American presence in Vietnam, and this officially ended the Vietnam War. At this point, Vietnam became a communist nation. The work accompanying this, like I said, focuses on the Cambodian genocide. You'll be getting 2 sheets with this one. One is the reading and one is the set of questions. As always, let me know if you have any questions.